morning, 365, shake my hand. And today's Monday, the 17th, episode 6 of the podcast, chapter 7 of the book. And I can already tell with the title of the book that I am in big trouble because this is the one thing I stopped doing. All right, this is the one thing I stopped doing. This is why we come back to good books. And I'm going to tell you, I stopped doing what we're about to read about on the 24th of November. All right, so I'll explain what this is. So this is my gratitude notebook that I keep with me. Chapter 7 is on gratitude. Chapter 7 of getting the science of getting rich is on gratitude. And I messed up big time here. And I'll tell you why this is so important. I won't lie. December for me was quite very new to me. I took a break. I hadn't done that in a couple of years, about 3-4 years. I normally rest in March. But then because we're moving houses, my daily rhythm was broken. I didn't have internet for like the first 10 days and I just enjoyed doing nothing, and that just led to 1 week after the other, etc. So it looks like my routine fell apart, and I'm going to explain to you why this is so important, right? So my little brother has this video where he talks about the law of rhythm and the law of polarity. I'm just going to get into it right now. The law of rhythm and the law of polarity. The law of rhythm talks about the universal. Remember, this guy's a monist. He's talking about the universe and how things work in life, about this thinking substance. And it doesn't matter which religion you are. It doesn't matter which faith you are. It doesn't matter what your perception is or on the greater schemes of life. Human beings go through the law of rhythm, the ups and downs of life, the ups and downs of life. If you look at the Bible, there's a story about the guy called in Job, a righteous man, could never fault God for anything, but still went through the law of rhythm, right? The law of rhythm is literally there to sharpen you, to test you, to strengthen you, but it's also there to make sure you pass the test to move on, right? So you'll always find a new bottom before you find a new high, right? So I say the law of rhythm is actually the simplistic pattern of trading, right? You buy low, sell high. Only way you can buy low is to go down with the dip. You just have to catch Bitcoin as it's falling and avoid emotional damage, right? So that's just how it is. The law of rhythm simply states that, look, things are going to go bad in your life at some particular point in time, and things are going to go good in your life at some particular point in time. It is unavoidable. Universal laws are unavoidable. I should teach on universal laws. So we're going to add the Humanetics. It's a book written by ancient Egyptians who, you'll see, it's a very cool book. It's a short book, but it's got all the universal principles in it so that we are on the same page on this topic. So there's a universal law of rhythm, ups and downs. Now, during the downs, right, of your life, when you're going through the toughest things, where it's the most darkest, bills have been cut, you've been evicted, kids have been kicked out of school, there is no money, there is no food, it is very easy to fail the test. The test being to maintain a particular way of thinking. Remember, we're talking about the thought process. He does talk about this in the previous chapter. I just don't know if I highlighted in chapter 5 or 6. He speaks about how you have to maintain a specific type of faith. Remember, he says your faith becomes invincible if you fix upon your consciousness the fact that desire you feel of the possession of riches is one in line with the supreme power. He talks about it in another place. I just don't remember where in the book, but I know we read it before, where he keeps talking about how you need to make sure your faith can't be faulted. Your faith can't necessarily be tried, and you can't fail that particular test. Now, during those swings in the law of rhythm, where you go down, not when you're up, but when you're down, there is something called the universal law of polarity. Universal law of polarity is, what do you do to even out the blows of the downs, right? So I get that I'm going through a tough time, but there's something to catch me. There's something to ensure that as I am going through a tough time, I can quickly bounce back. All right. And this has consistently happened in my life many times, where as soon as I can feel that this is now a new test in my life and I don't think I'm strong enough, I need to rely on the law of polarity. The law of polarity is 100% grounded in the attitude of gratitude, right? So let's read chapter 7, and then I'll tell you what this little notebook of mine is about and why you need to have one from today, and why from today I am going back to being disciplined and making sure I journal in this notebook that I stopped writing in on the 24th of November, because you never know when you're going to need the law of polarity, because you never know when tough times are coming. You absolutely never know that stuff. Right, so we're going to do one chapter today, chapter 7. It's really time for me to get going, and I can tell that the trading pressure is on now. Right, so I need to check out the London session before it opens at 9 a.m. Right, and I started the podcast a bit late today, right? So good morning, shake my hand one more time. Right, so gratitude, I'm reading from the book, chapter 7, page 37. The illustrations given in the last chapter. Remember in the last chapter we spoke about a man's story, an old man's story who was very poor, and he started to test this idea of just thinking about what he wants in his house. First he asked for a little bit, and then the little bit happened, and he started to stretch his imagination, to stretch his thought process, and surely but surely his faith paved the way for what he wanted. So now we're in chapter 7. The illustrations given in the last chapter will have conveyed to the reader the fact that the first step toward getting rich is to convey the idea of your wants to the formless substance. You're not going to get something that you're not asking for. If you spend the whole day being stressed, right, about your life, you are going to get stress in your life. You become what you think about most of the time. I repeat, you become what you think about most of the time. Another important thing to repeat is our quote for the book, the main quotation. There is a thinking, stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by that thought. A thought in that substance what you think you produce. Now, a person can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon the formless substance can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. This quote is very smart. It's put carefully, well done. He doesn't say there is a thinking about riches that create riches. It's just a thinking, it's a thought. But whatever thought you impress upon all the time is what you get to create. So you can create riches, you can create poverty, you can create happiness, you can create sorrow. Now he's saying here, the illustration given in the last chapter will have conveyed to the reader the fact that the first step towards getting rich, the very first step towards getting rich, where are my highlighters? There we go. Is to convey, right, the idea of your wants to the formless substance. You have to. That's why Leroy's got affirmation cards in the office. When I brush my teeth, I've got my goal on a small piece of paper. My family hates that, used to hate it. Now they understand it. I have my stuff. It's our target as a family. Everyone, I get my little boy. He's now age 7. Think last year he was thinking about 90,000 US dollars. He didn't even know what he was saying, but because it was written somewhere there, that's what it is. When I brush my teeth, Dr. Asaf talks about priming the mind on the daily activity. So I can break down my big annual goal into weekly goals for my trading account. Right? So if I'm trying to make 743,000 US dollars per month, how much do I need? That's not good for some people. That's good for others. Some people, that gives them pressure. So give yourself a financial quarter target. In 3 months, I should be here. In another 3 months, I should be here, to remove that day-on-day pressure. But the point is, the first step towards getting rich is to convey the idea of your wants to the formless substance. This is true, and you will see that in order to do so, it becomes necessary to relate yourself to the formless intelligence in a harmonious way. We're getting deeper and deeper into the how. So it's not just about thinking, and it's not about what you think about. You also now have to create a relationship with the formless substance or the formless intelligence in a harmonious way. To secure this harmonious relationship is a matter of such primary and vital importance that will give some space to the discussion here. Ever wonder why rich people meditate? Ever wonder why people who are not Christian can still become billionaires? Ever wonder why most really rich people spend less time working and more time doing personal development, going on meditation trips, doing yoga, spacing out? Ever wonder why? Because there is a certain way of doing things. There is a certain way of doing things. Now, I will give you instructions which if you follow them will be certain to bring you into perfect unity with the mind of God. The whole process of mental adjustment and atonement can be summed in one word. The whole process. So he's saying, look, man, apart from thinking and letting it be known what you want to the formless substance, you have to be in a harmonious relationship with this intelligent substance. And he's saying the whole thing can be summarized in one word, and that one word is gratitude. Now, the first, you believe there is one intelligence. So step number one, you believe that there is one intelligence. Let me talk to people right now who are not Christians. You are 10 times better off trying this, believing that there is a God or a universe or a formless substance or whatever it is that you want to name it and believe in it, than relying on yourself. Relying on yourself has gotten to you, or has gotten you where you are today. It is the reality. I told you there's a book called Atomic Habits who calls it your standard. Your where you stay, your bank account, your weight, your health, your mental. It's a standard of your own atomic habits. It is at the speed and at the nature in which you shape your day-to-day lives. And that's where you are as a human being. You got to take responsibility for that type of stuff. You got to take responsibility for your mind and say, this is how far I can get. Right. Now, Kevin Durant calls it a radar. A radar, you know, when you're driving a car, you see a speedometer, you see the fuel tank, you see the water stuff. That's your radar. You only know what you know. Every time I encounter a problem in life, I am slowly and getting so much better at reminding myself that this is my radar. I only know what I know. What I know seemingly has gotten me into this mess. So what I now need to do is to completely trust in something bigger than me. That frees you up a lot, because if it's not really your responsibility to fix it, you get to do what you need to do, which is to fix yourself, to fix your mindset, right? So he says, first, you believe that there is one intelligent substance from which all things proceed. Secondly, which he built up in chapter 1 and chapter 2. Secondly, you believe that this substance gives you everything you desire. And thirdly, you relate yourself to it through feeling of deep, profound gratitude. That's all it is. No one is asking you to do a blood sacrifice here. This is not a big request. Believe that surely, if you look at the moon, the stars, the sky, the ocean, just basic biology, synergy, that birds, trees, there has to be a greater intelligent substance that can get all this done. If you really think about the evolution of a human being from cavemen to where we are today, there has to be a greater substance, right? That's behind all life. Number two, believe that the substance gives you everything you desire. You want something, you can't make it yourself, or believe that there's something out there willing to give it to you. Number three, you need to relate yourself to it with a deep feeling of profound gratitude. Many people who order their lives rightly in all other ways are kept in poverty by their lack of gratitude. Having received one gift from God, they cut the wires which connect them with Him by failing to make acknowledgement. It is easy to understand that the nearer we live to the source of wealth, the more wealth we shall receive. It is also easy to understand that a soul that is always grateful lives in closer touch with God than one that never looks to Him in thankful acknowledgement. When good things come to us, the more grateful we fix our minds on the supreme power, the more good things we'll receive, and the more rapidly they will come. The reason for this is simply that the mental attitude of gratitude draws the mind into closer touch with the source from which blessings come from, right? It is a new thought to you that gratitude brings your whole mind into closer harmony with creative energies in the universe. Consider it well and you'll see that it is true. The good things you already possess have come to you because of certain laws. Gratitude will lead your mind out along the ways of which things come, and it will keep you in close harmony with creative thought and prevent you from failing into competitive thought. Gratitude alone keep you looking toward the infinite and prevent you from falling into the error of thinking that the supply of riches is limited. Don't make that mistake, and to think that would be fatal to your hopes. There is a law of gratitude. And if you are to get the results you seek, it is absolutely necessary that you should observe this law. The law of gratitude is the natural principle that action and reaction are always equal in opposite direction. The grateful outreaching of your mind in thankful praise to the supreme power is a liberation or expenditure of force. It cannot fail to reach that which it is addressed. And as a result, God responds with an instantaneous movement towards you. Draw nigh unto God and he will draw nigh unto you. That statement is of psychological truth. And if your gratitude is strong and constant, the reaction in the formless substance will be strong and continuous. We're going to talk about how you can get it strong and continuous. It's the notebook power. The movement of things you want will always be toward you. Notice the grateful attitude that Jesus took, how he always seems to be saying, I thank thee, Father, thou hearest me. You cannot exercise much power without gratitude, because it is gratitude that keeps you connected with the power. But the value of gratitude does not consist solely in getting more blessings in the future. Without gratitude, you cannot keep from being dissatisfied with things as they are. The moment you permit your mind to dwell with dissatisfaction upon things as they are, you begin to lose ground. You fix attention upon the common, the poor, and the mean, and your mind takes the form of these things. You will then transmit these forms of mental images to the formless. I think let me just quickly pause there. Let's repeat that. The moment you permit your mind to dwell on dissatisfaction, there are many parts of my life I'm not happy about today. I want more sleep. And that complaining could lead me to wanting to do less work. That less work could mean I actually want my trading company, my academy, both those fronts to start to slow down. That would also mean I want all my e-commerce businesses to also start to slow down, because at the end of the day, I'm dissatisfied with the state of my body. It's a stupid example, but it's important. His point here is the things you're not satisfied about, not happy about in your life. All right. If you dwell upon those particular things, you will begin to lose grounds. You fix attention upon the common, the poor, the lack of resources in your life, and the mean, and your mind takes the form of those things. You become what you think about most of the time. Now, you will then transmit these forms or mental images to the formless substance. Thus, the common, poor, and the lack and the mean will come to you. To permit your mind, to allow your mind to dwell upon the inferior is to become inferior and to surround yourself with inferior things. These are not my words. These are Mr. Wallace D. Wattles' words. And he's talking about the science of getting rich. If I am not yet satisfied about where I want to be in riches, I'm just going to listen to this man because he knows a little bit better than I do right now. And that's your approach to books. Until you can prove the author fundamentally wrong with your life and empirical evidence after trying what they've told you to try and following the rules, you really are jumping the gun by just going in disbelief. In fact, every time you find yourself fighting a point, you need to investigate that. Investigate to say, why am I so defensive? What does he say that has pinched a nerve? Because there's some truth into it. You only get offended by things that are reflectively true internally. So if this is offending you, it's okay. It's great. Write it down. Figure it out. Why? Why? Is it because it's just summed up your entire life story? That maybe you are where you are because all you've done is out of ignorance, without even knowing it. You spend so much time fixating on what you don't have to a point where you just kept not having it. I don't know, but I would listen and follow through until I can prove the man's wrong. Now, on the other hand, to fix your attention, wow, such a short chapter. On the other hand, to fix your attention on the best is to surround yourself with the best. The creative power within us the creative power within us into the image of that which we give our attention. We are a thinking substance, and a thinking substance, we ourselves are a thinking substance, and a thinking substance always takes the form of which it thinks about. You become what you think about most of the time. So it's nice that I say that and he's saying it in a different way. He says we are a thinking substance, and a thinking substance always takes the form of what it thinks about. The grateful mind is constantly fixed upon the best. Therefore, it tends to become the best. It takes the form of character of the best and will receive the best. Also, faith is born of gratitude. The grateful mind continually expects good things, and expectation becomes faith. The reaction of gratitude upon one's own mind produces faith. Every outgoing wave of grateful thanksgiving increases faith. The person who has no feeling of gratitude cannot longer retain a living faith. And as we will see in the following chapters, without a living faith, you cannot get rich by a creative method, right? That's interesting. There's a living faith, there's an active faith that is specifically activated, it seems, only through gratitude. Now, it is necessary. I think our stuff, our home stuff is here, the cleaning stuff. So they might ring a bell. We're going to ignore it until we finish. Now, it is necessary then to cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing that comes to you. Give thanks continuously. Every good thing that comes to you, give thanks continuously. And because all things have contributed to your advancement, all things have contributed to your advancement, you should include all things in your gratitude. Do not waste time thinking or talking about the shortcomings or wrong actions of the plutocrats or trust magnates. Their organization of the world has made your opportunity. All that you have received really has come to you because of them. Do not rage against corrupt politicians. If it were not for politicians, we would fall into anarchy and your opportunity would be greatly lessened. God has worked a long time and very patiently to bring us to where we are in industry and government, and He's going right on with His work. I believe that He will do away with plutocrats, trust magnates, captains of industry, politicians as soon as they can be spared. But in the meantime, they are very necessary. Remember that they are helping to arrange the lines of transmission along which your riches will come to you. Be grateful. This will bring you into a harmonious relationship with the good in everything, and the good in everything will move toward you. And that is the end of chapter 7. I would like to encourage every single person. If you're on Spotify, I'm not showing much. It's just a notebook. I think I can describe it carefully. If you're on YouTube, this is my gratitude notebook. And every day, the rule is every day, you need to write 10 things you're grateful for. And at first, it's going to feel like, oh my God, 10 things. I need to think very hard. No, you don't. I can read literally what I've written here. Or some things, maybe I can't read all of them out. But I'm going to say, I'm grateful that I took the time to understand charts 6 years ago. Praying for renewal of that passion to get my trading to a new level. I wrote that on the 18th of November last year. I'm grateful for the peace I have. It's just stuff. I'm grateful for a meal. Doesn't matter. But this puts you in line with being continuously grateful for something, because to write something down is to be extremely conscious about it. It's to say, okay, fine. I want to stay in line, in touch, in a harmonious relationship with the formless subject. Just get a gratitude journal. I normally do 5 things in the morning, 5 things before I go to sleep. Start my day grateful, end my day very grateful. There can be things about that particular day. There can be things about your entire life. Doesn't matter how bad things are for you right now. There is always something incredibly to be grateful for. But if you want to start to align your thinking in a specific type of way, you're going to have to stay in line with the formless substance. And apparently, according to this book that we're doing together, and I can tell you from my own experience, it works wonders. An attitude of grateful is the key thing. I'll see you guys tomorrow for chapter 8. 365. Shake my hand, man. Have a good day. Cheers.